As you've already learned, value is the art element that refers to darkness or lightness. Color value is related to the amount of light a color reflects. Not all hues of the spectrum have the same value. Yellow is the lightest hue, and violet the darkest. Black, white, and gray are neutral colors. When white light shines on a white object, like this t-shirt, all of the wavelengths are reflected. We perceive the presence of all of the wavelengths as white. The dye used in this t-shirt has the ability to absorb and hold on to all of the wavelengths. We perceive the absorption of all of the wavelengths as black. Gray is impure white. It reflects an equal part of each color wave. The more light that gray reflects, the lighter it looks. The more it absorbs, the darker. You can change the value of any hue by adding black or white. A light value of a hue is called a tint. A dark value of a hue is called a shade. The term shade often is used incorrectly to refer to both tints and shades. When an artist wants to show a bright, sunny day, they use tints. Paintings with many tints are referred to as high-key paintings. Low-key paintings have shades, or dark values, which are used when the artist wants to represent dark, gloomy days, nighttime, or dusk. A monochromatic color scheme is a color scheme that uses only one hue and the values, tints, and shades of that hue. Because this is a limited scheme, it has strong unifying effects on a design. It is very easy to organize, but one of the problems is it can seem boring. For our first painting assignment, we're going to try to get the most out of the value of a color. We're going to come up with a design and then create 8 tints and 8 shades for a total of 21 points. This is a simple study of value and color. I'll show you how to make your own. Tints first. We'll start out with our white and our red. Now I've drawn out my shape that I'm going to put my colors in. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots for tints. I recommend doing the tints first. And we're going to put the color, the pure color we're using in the middle here, that's our hue. And then in our second sitting, we'll do our shades. So I've got a spot for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades. The tints are more forgiving, so I like people to start with those. I'm going to put out some white. Going to get out some red. Now when I do my first mix, we're always going to mix the dark color into the light. So white is a lighter color, so I'm going to take a little bit of red and I'm going to mix that in. Now there's a trick for this. So a lot of times what we do is we mix our first tint and we think we've got a nice light color, but we want our first tint to actually be close to white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a second puddle of white. I'm going to take this tint and I'm going to mix that in. And it might be a little bit hard to tell with this, but this is a white with just a little bit of red stuck in it. So that's going to be our first color. Be sure to mix everything really well. Now when I paint, I like to use the edge of my shader brush. Kind of cut everything in. Just like so. Now I'm going to go back to the second color, this first color that I mixed, and I'll use that for my next one. And sometimes when I'm cutting, you can kind of rotate the brush. Some people even rotate their paper so that they can control where their color goes. And we want to be able to tell the difference between these two, which I can. You combine those, and I'm going to put another dot of red in, and that's going to get a little bit deeper pink. So I'm going to use that color for my next one. You can always mix more if you need to. Always mixing the darker color, in this case the red, into the lighter color, the pink or the white. A little bit more. And if you need to, you can add a little bit more of your hue to make sure you can tell the difference between your colors. Clean that up with the wet paper towel. Add a little bit more of my red hue. I recommend doing your tints in one sitting, because I like to rotate the paper. Makes it faster to cut. Sometimes the colors can dry a little bit lighter. Sometimes they can dry a little bit darker. So working in one sitting allows you to not have to guess. But it's not the end of the world if you get called away and you have to finish another time. tints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tints. And now we're going to jump over to our pure red. So that's a good first chunk. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tints, and then our pure hue. One of the parts of this assignment we're going to do is experiment with local color. So we want you to put a dot of your pure hue, in this case red, whatever color you're using for this assignment, inside each triangle. Now once I get this far, I like to clean my brushes and change my water, because the white will actually mess around with my shades. It'll make them gray instead of black. And so I need to clean my brush, change my water, work on our shades. And just like before, got my red, get a little black, and I'm gonna mix my light color dark into light. So my light color first. So we're gonna use that same trick we did before. I'm gonna take some red and I'm gonna pick up some black. I'm gonna mix that in. And then I'm gonna take some fresh red and I'm gonna pick up this shade and I'm gonna mix it in there. And that's gonna be how I get my next step for this to work well. So here's my first shade. Now I'll go with that next shaded color. All right. Now I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to add just a little bit more black. To make this red darker. Don't want to get too dark too fast. Black is a really strong pigment and it overpowers most colors that you mix it into. My last square is going to be mostly black with just a little bit of red in it. It should be a red black, just like our first tint was a red white. We'll finish up by putting our pure hue inside each triangle, which appears different because of the value behind it. To review, so we started with our red hue, then we added a bunch of white, and we added more red to our white until we got back to our pure red. Then we cleaned up and we mixed a shade. We added that shade to some red to get this first shade. And then we kept on adding more black, so it got darker. Let's look at some student examples. Remember, you need 8 tints, 1 color, and 8 shades of that color. There are a lot of red examples. Red is one of the easier colors to work with. We also have magenta. If you choose orange, you'll have to mix red and yellow together. Notice when we add black to get the shades of yellow, it turns green. Remember, the goal is to be able to use value and color. Use the area behind your values as an opportunity to practice different brush techniques and design. If you want to use green, start with yellow and add some blue. Be careful when mixing the shades of blues. The black is very strong and it gets dark very fast. Only add a little black at a time. Remember, if you make music, you can get extra credit if you play your song. If you'd like to use purple, start with red and add blue. Students who have issues seeing color may either work in grays, may work with a partner and mix colors as a pair.